All right, so how many of you since last year when I introduced ChatGPT has started using it in some form or fashion? Okay, a little bit. Tiffany, how have you started using it?
I used it for a spur-of-the-moment elementary presentation that we did last year.
Okay.
I had a group of 8th graders that ducked out on it, so I just threw something in there real quick and gave it to some 7th graders to present.
Okay, so 8th grade was supposed to present, they didn't show up, and ChatGPT basically did a CYA for you when they fell through. Excellent.
Yes.
And did you find the process pretty easy? Was it pretty streamlined?
No, yeah.
Excellent.
I made it change a couple of things a couple times, and it still stayed on track.
Excellent. Julie, how have you been using it?
I've used it for different things. One of the things I've been doing is if I need something summarized, a large document summarized, I'll use it that way. I've used it to produce lower level reading for different students and things like that.
Excellent. Anybody else? Any usage? Any ways you?
I was talking to Glenn last night. We were using the Bing image AI feature, to do things like Ric Flair on a surfboard, hanging tin, and a hula skirt, eating pizza, that kind of thing. So, and it was sure enough, bam, like 4 different images.
Yeah, the new DALL-E 3 is incredible. So ChatGPT is a product of a company called OpenAI, and they also have an image creation platform called DALL-E, and it's DALL-E 2 is what people have broadly had access to, and you can kind of make it do some neat images. I think on the last presentation I had it make a picture of Trey Anastasio, the front man from Fish, eating a banana sitting in front of Christmas decorations. And it was okay. Number 3 is going from standard definition TV to 4K TV. That's the quality of difference that we're seeing in the images that's presenting. To the point that there are people winning photography competitions and then coming out later and saying that wasn't an actual photograph that was generated by DALL-E. It's incredible. So a year and a half ago, I was on a random Reddit thread. I love Reddit, and I saw ChatGPT referenced. Had never gotten onto it. Thought I would try it out. I didn't know the role ChatGPT would play in my life after that. So after I met with us, I took and expanded some of the thoughts that I had laid out in the hour-long presentation that I did with y'all and actually built an online course out of it. The beta version of my online course has had 400 students from 60 different countries around the world. I have the opportunity coming up. I'm leading a professional development for a school in Sydney, Australia. I have to get up at 2 o'clock in the morning to do a PD session for them on this. I ended up writing a book because I really have a heart for teachers who are intimidated by technology and showing them, hey, you don't have to be a coder programmer to be able to use it. And I put this out and had great feedback on it. So I had no idea, a year and a half ago on a random Reddit thread that this was going to take over my life. My beta version of my online course is about to go into the full version that's going to have online coaching access and all kinds of stuff. So I'm all in. The last workshop was called, I for one welcome our new robot overlords. I've fully welcomed it. With caveats, there are obviously some issues that we have to work through as far as privacy goes and hallucinations and stuff, but the system itself just keeps getting stronger and stronger. So today I want to focus in on some changes that have happened in ChatGPT over the last year since last time I presented, and some of the ways that has affected the way that I'm using and the way that I'm training others, specifically working with other teachers. I have had the opportunity to work with a nuclear engineer on how they can use ChatGPT. I've worked with several entrepreneurs. I've taught some courses for small business owners in Chattanooga. But it all basically comes down to we have this incredible platform that literally anyone can use to streamline, simplify their lives, and make themselves more productive. And for us as teachers, that also means we have a platform that can allow us to buy back our own lives, our own times, our evenings, our weekends, while simultaneously enhancing our students' learning outcomes. enhancing their classroom experiences. So that's a win-win. If we can make our lives easier with a few clicks of buttons while helping our students grow, I'm all about it. So just review from last time, what is ChatGPT? ChatGPT is a large language modeling platform that was developed by OpenAI. Basically, layman's term, non-techie terms, it's like having a virtual assistant who's been trained on everything that's available on the internet. Any book that's been uploaded, any video that's been uploaded, any PDF that's been uploaded, any website. Now, last year when I would have said that, I would have added with the asterisk up through 2021. But now with plugins and stuff, we can search. I'm going to show you, we can actually build things that are real time, pull news articles from the last 24 hours, stuff like that. So basically it is a virtual assistant you can have walking around with you in your phone or on your computer to help you carry out tasks, to help you do research, to help you simplify, to survey information, to build assessments. What can you do with it? Well, now, pretty much anything. There are still limitations as far as video production. There are AIs that are working with video, but that's not native to ChatGPT yet. I say yet because it will eventually be coming. But you can develop lesson plans. You can, like Julie was saying, you can take a chunk of text and have it adjust the ring level. So for accommodations, modifications, for differentiation of learning. One of the workshops that I've led for teachers is actually having it to auto-grade written assignments, develop the writing assignment, generate a rubric for the writing assignment, then automatically give personalized and individualized feedback to students based on that rubric. And I'll tell you, it gives much more in-depth feedback than I've ever given a 7th grader on their reading, and does it a heck of a lot faster than I ever could. So how do you use ChatGPT? How many of you can send a text message? Most of you in this room have sent me a text at some point. Who's, can check your email? You can use it, okay? It's that simple. If you can chat, then you can use it. So if you haven't signed up yet, this will be in the slides. Basic sign up information. It's real easy, just like you sign up for any other platform. Now, a lot of what I'm going to show you today are options that are available for Plus members, which is the monthly subscription. If you're just a casual user, you may not need it, but for the ways I use it and how ingrained it is, not only in my professional life, but in pretty much every element of my life now, I happily pay $20 a month to have access to it. So all of ChatGPT is based around this idea of prompting. Prompting is simply telling the platform what you want it to do. So most of us in this room have kids. All the time we're prompting our kids. If it's not your kids, your students, you're telling them, hey, I want you to go put your clothes in the hamper. Hey, I want you to dribble the ball down the court. And we know that sometimes we tell our kids what we want them to do, and we think it's really clear, but to them it's pretty ambiguous. So we have to realize that sometimes we have to repeat ourselves, or we have to give better instructions for our kids to really truly understand what it is we want them to do. With ChatGPT, that idea of refining what you want the platform to do is called prompt engineering. So prompt engineering is manipulating the phrasing that you use, the commands that are used, the boundaries that are set, and any subsequent statements that are given to fine-tune the output. So rather than saying, like to Ava this morning, hey, go put your cup in the kitchen. Well, he could do that. He could put it in the refrigerator. He could put it on the floor. He could put it in the microwave. Technically, it would be in the kitchen. I would need to specifically tell him, hey, buddy, I want you to go take your cup, empty whatever milk is left in it into the sink, and then put your empty cup into the sink. That's telling him exactly, specifically what I want it to do. A lot of people, Jessica and I were talking about this yesterday, she said she feels like ChatGPT has, as it's offered more options, it's become dumber. And the truth is it really hasn't become dumber. It's just that as it's been trained and able to do more things, it needs better instructions to give us the quality of output that we need. So when it comes to developing an effective prompt, you really have to have 4 key things. I have 5 on my chart. Seed content is when you really don't know what you want to do. You're like, okay, I want to cook dinner, give me some ideas. That's seed content. But when you're developing a good, strong prompt, rather than just saying, I want to teach my kids about Gandhi, you really need to give it instruction. So tell it exactly what task you want it to carry out. So write a brief overview of the Holocaust. Rather than tell me about the Holocaust, write a brief overview. I don't want 10,000 words. I want something brief. You can even get more specific. Tell me in 100 words or fewer a general summary about the Holocaust. You need to identify your content. So this is additional information that helps guide the AI's response. So create discussion questions for the book I Rise by Marie Arnold for a 9th grade ELA class. You're telling it the book you want, what you want it to do, the grade level appropriate for the output. Formatting specifications. You can ask it, if you want it to give you a bulleted list, you can tell it, hey, give me this information in a bulleted list. If you want it in a table, you can ask it to give it to you in a table. If you're like Julie Shaw and you love spreadsheets, you can ask it to give you output as a CSV file that you can then upload into Sheets or upload into Excel. Tone or style specifications. This is going to be, if you are creating templates, like for emails, you might, if you're big mad at somebody, you might ask it to write it in a stern but professional voice. If you are writing to a parent, you might ask it to write it in an encouraging voice. There's an entire subreddit that talks about how ChatGPT has saved my you-know-what. And there's a whole reoccurring theme of people who will just type out exactly what they want to say to their bosses or to their colleagues, and then they'll prompt it, use a tone that conveys my frustration but won't get me fired.
Or get me a raise.
Yeah, yeah. So there's a big difference between saying, hey, write this in a professional voice versus write this in a friendly voice. Write this in a stern voice versus writing this in an encouraging voice. The other element that I would add to this, it's my own chart, I need to update it, is assign your ChatGPT prompt. Ask ChatGPT to take on the persona or avatar of what you want it to be writing to you about. So if you are wanting ChatGPT to help you, better serve your trumpet students, then you can ask it, taking on the persona of a 15-year veteran college trumpet professor, help me to be able to help my 7th grade students by giving me ideas on practice or whatever. Because ChatGPT has been trained on so many different platforms, it can literally take on those personas. So as you can either give it a specific person. So like, you could say, taking on the mindset of Martin Lloyd-Jones, write a sermon outline that covers Ephesians chapter 4. There's a big difference between it knowing, hey, I'm writing this as Martin Lloyd-Jones versus, hey, just write me an outline on Ephesians chapter 4. Or as, Coach, who's your favorite football coach of all time?
Kirby Smart.
Okay, Kirby Smart. All right, so as Kirby Smart, I'm going to ask you questions about being an offensive coordinator, and I want you to give me feedback as if you were Coach Kirby Smart. And it's actually going to pull in everything it knows about him, and it's going to answer in that style. Because I'm sure his coaching style is way different from if you just said, hey, in general, tell me about how to score more touchdowns.
So it better be like with, no profanity.
Yeah.
Yeah, with Kirby, absolutely.
Yeah, and that's also where it comes into setting tone.
In Margaret's voice.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Sorry.
So I spend a lot of time massaging my prompts. I like getting my hands dirty and trying out different things. The smallest little word change can completely change your output. If you're like, I ain't about all that life, I just want to be able to type something in and come out good, you can just write the, hey, help me be able to better serve my trumpet students. Or you can go to something like PromptPerfect, which is It's an external platform. There are plugins for it. I like going to their platform itself. It is free. And so when you go to PromptPerfect, you will get, it runs on a credit system. But you start out with like 24 free credits, and every day you log in, then it gives you a free credit. If you log in 7 days in a row, it gives you a bonus like 10 credits. You log in for an entire month, it gives you. So I've been using this for like a year. I've used PromptPerfect for probably 6 months now. I've never paid for a single credit.
So they're like street bucks.
Kind of like Street Bucks, yeah. So, give you an example of one way that I've used this. So I'm pretty good at coming up with prompts. This was my prompt. I said, I'm a 7th grade social studies teacher. I want you to create a writing prompt for my students to write a persuasive essay on whether or not ranked choice voting should be used in presidential elections. The essay should be no more than 3,500 words in length. The essay should be have a clear thesis, 3 supporting arguments. The essay should be in APA format, include a minimum of 3 citations from reputable sources. I look at that, I'm like, hot diggity dog, I'm pretty good at writing these prompts. I dropped that into PromptPerfect. I'm like, hey, can you make this better? And this is what it did with my prompt. And then what it'll also do is it'll actually compare what you would have gotten from your original prompt in ChatGPT to what output they actually got from their optimized prompt. Again, this is free. So if you're working on, hey, I have to do a data dig activity and I really need teachers to understand this about the data, you could say that, drop it into PromptPerfect, and it'll massage out and give you so much better of an output. So PromptPerfect has become one of my go-to tools for making the outputs better. Because again, there's a big difference between, hey buddy, please put your cup in the kitchen versus telling him exactly where and how I want that cup put in there. And PromptPerfect is a fantastic tool for helping your prompts become better. And it's free. You can buy credits if you're somebody that's like every single prompt, I need it to be perfect. You can pay for them, but I use it like, so I send out newsletters and then I write blog posts and stuff like that. And I want to make sure that my readers, my subscribers are getting fantastic prompts. So whenever I get ready to send something out, I will actually put it through PromptPerfect first before I send it out to my readers. Just make sure that it is a good resource for them. Okay. Other things that have happened since the last time we met is that they've extended the opportunity to use plugins with ChatGPT. So now there are third-party developers who are basically like writing Chrome extensions that work specifically with ChatGPT. Those allow you to streamline. For example, there's something now called custom instructions, where if all the time, rather than have to do every single prompt say, I am a middle school chorus teacher, and my students' abilities are this, this, and this, but they're struggling this, this, and this. Rather than having to type that out every time, you can actually set up a profile of custom instructions. So you can actually tell, hey, anytime that I'm writing in this chat window, remember my profile, remember who I am, so you don't have to type that stuff in. It's just a way of streamlining your workflow. If you know, I hate getting blocks of text, I want everything in bullet form, you can actually give a custom instruction. Every single output you give me when I'm in this chat window, make sure it's bulleted. I never want any output that's more than 200 characters. You can put it in there so you don't have to every time you write say, write this in 200 characters or less, it'll just remember it for you with custom instructions. Search the web. This is a huge one because the caveat used to be ChatGPT is trained on everything on the internet up through 2021. It is now trained on anything that you decided want to search for you. You can, if you use Bing, they have integrated this into Bing, or I don't use Bing, I'm a Chrome guy. So I've just integrated the plugin, and so I can tell it, hey, go search the internet for this. And I'll show you examples of all these here in a minute. In the past, you couldn't analyze anything other than just plain text Now you can actually upload files. You can upload PDFs with no size limit. So you can put in the Bhagavad Gita in there and actually do analysis on this like 1,300 page document straight from ChatGPT. You can upload spreadsheets now. And you can tell it, hey, I've uploaded this spreadsheet and we've been working on spending and we're working on our budget, and I'm looking at this and I really don't understand where all the money is going. Can you massage this to basically tell me where can we potentially cut an extra $2,500 a semester? It'll analyze the spreadsheet for you. So it's making it where rather than a lot of folks who used to handle or hire third-party data analysts can actually have ChatGPT do it for them. And yes, it can color code things for you and all that fun stuff. Flowchart and graph development. It can actually create mind maps for you now. It can create flowcharts. I was showing Hansard yesterday. I asked her what her kids were doing. She said they were working on combining like terms. A couple clickety clicks of the button and create a flowchart that she could share with her kids. And she actually said it was really good. The big thing that's coming, I was hoping that I would have access to it before today, drumroll, vision and speech analysis. So soon, we'll have students who are ESOL students who are learning to speak English, who can talk to ChatGPT, and it can have a conversation with them and critique their English and give them feedback. With vision, pretty soon we can have students whose handwriting we can't read at all, hold it up, and it will be able to give you a transcript of what they wrote, and then give you some ideas about why potentially they're writing in the way that they are by analyzing the text. So there's some of the things that people are doing, some of the like beta testers have access to vision and speech right now. With vision, one of my favorite things I saw somebody do was their bike was broken, and they just held it up to it and said, tell me what's wrong with my bike, and then how to fix it. And went through and told them and gave them a list of the parts, the tools they needed, and walked them through step by step. And also they had it connected to voice, so it gave them audible step-by-step directions on how to fix their bike. It literally is getting to the point where it's not sentient, but we can have full-on communication and conversations with computers. Virtual assistants are now something that we can carry in our pockets with us at any point. Hey, I have a student who keeps starting fights at the football game. I've done everything that I can with him. I need you to take on the identity of a highly renowned child psychologist and give me some feedback on how I can talk this student down right now to help him get calmed down. Gives it to you. Yeah, sweep the leg, Joey. All right, so there are lots and lots of plugins that are available now because it's almost like the wild, wild west of when Chrome started offering extensions and there was 1 billion extensions available. The first time that I got on to look at plugins for ChatGPT, I think there were like 8 or 10 available. Now there's like hundreds of pages of them available. So it can become overwhelming when you're searching through. But the nice thing is you can search by their most popular ones, you can search by new ones, or you can search through all. And I'll show you how to access those here in a minute. These are the major ones that I'm using here lately. I'm not saying they are the best, they're just the ones that I've been using. And I'm sure there'll be something that comes out by this afternoon that's better than some of these or maybe more user-friendly. AI PDF can analyze PDF files of any size. And you can either do so by giving it a link or uploading the PDF into it. Diagram Show Me, which is where you can create graphs, flowcharts, mind maps, and other visualization of data. Browser OP, which is a ChatGPT web search. Again, if you're using Bing, they've already built this into Bing, but it works well within the ChatGPT platform itself. Link Reader, this is awesome. Analyze anything with a link. YouTube videos, websites, whatever. If you can give it a link, it can analyze it for you. And then Scholar AI. How many of you have ever worked on a grant? Ever written a grant? Okay. A lot of times with grants, they say, can you provide, data-based evidences to support, whatever claim you're making as far as why you need money? In the past, if you just use ChatGPT, you and I saw this, it would just make up stuff. It's called a hallucination, it'll just make up stuff. Scholar AI is kind of like Google Scholar on steroids. It lets you go through and you can say, hey, I need 3 articles from 2022 by this specific researcher in this specific field that talks about why middle schools need more money to expand school arcades. And it'll give you access to those research studies.
This is really relevant too for a title school, because most of the money that we can spend on things like arcade stuff and all that, we have to draw that from 150 funds, and that has to have some sort of, I'm not saying it's right, but it has to have some sort of impact on literacy and numeracy. So, for example, when we were building the VR lab, one of the things that we had to demonstrate to audience was like, look, there is tangible research available to show that access to the fine arts or access to VR experiences enhances student performance in literacy and numeracy. And there is research to that effect, which you can find.
James G.
Yeah, so if you can show that, you get to spend the money on it. So
yeah, anytime you need anything about video games in classroom, just cite James G, because he's the dude as far as that goes. So I want to take just a few minutes and show you how these different plugins work. I went ahead and wrote out some prompts. Some I massaged a little bit, some I was just like, it'll get the job done. So when you go to ChatGPT, if you hover over, again, to use plugins right now, you have to be a Plus user. But if you hover over, advanced data analysis is where you can upload files in if you want to. But if you go down to plugins, you can click, and if you go to the plugin store, this shows you there are so many plugins available, just pages and pages of them. Most of them are free. A few of them work on a credit system where you get X number free a week or X number free a month, and then if you use any more than that, then you have to pay for it. Scholar AI is that way, but most of them are free. And then when you start a new chat, you'll see a little box right here, and you can just click and go down, and you can choose whichever one that you've installed, and just click and it automatically uses it. The other nice thing, you can use multiple plugins at the same time. So you can say, hey, I want you to use Link, Link Explorer, whatever it's called, and also the GraphMe, and I want you to analyze this YouTube video, and after you analyze it, make me a visualization, a chart based off of the key events of this video. But we'll start out here just using
how do you add those? I see where you are on the
Yeah.
landing page, but where did the little...
you have to be a Plus member.
Never mind. Okay,
Yeah.
got it.
Yeah.
Sorry. I got it. Sorry, I missed that part.
No, you're good. Maybe that's something we can write in the future, is buy us all Plus memberships if we've got some extra money.
Is it 20 a month? Is that what it is?
20 a month, yeah. So the first one I'm going to use is the browser op plugin. Let me go ahead and get rid of diagram so it doesn't try to diagram it for me too. So we know yesterday, historic day in the United States, Kevin McCarthy unseated, the first Speaker of the House in U.S. history to ever be dethroned, if you will. Now, if this were regular, just using regular old ChatGPT without the ability to search the web, it'll say, sorry, all my knowledge, all my information about Kevin McCarthy or the Speaker of the House of the United States goes up through 2021. Now, if you use browser op, I paste in, provide me with 5 news stories from diverse political ideologies about Kevin McCarthy being voted out as Speaker of the House, published within the last 24 hours. It'll come and say, hey, we're working, we're doing our thing.
Fake news.
All of it's fake news. Unless it's somebody I like, then it's real. So it says, hey, I'm using it, I use it. Certainly, here's 5 stories from various political ideologies. various news sources, gives you link. It also give you a summary of those articles. So think about anything that you're doing. You're wanting to know, hey, we're going to do a fun challenge in class. We're going to challenge kids, see how much of the 5 most popular songs on Spotify this week you can learn in the next 2 days. Well, we need to know what those are. Bloop, bloop, it'll pull them up. So there you see that one. So browser op connects ChatGPT to the internet for real-time web searching. Stop generating this because I know I want to be able to save time for any questions at the end. So diagram show me. I've got a couple examples, but in honor of Stoker, cross-country example. So I'm going to delete this chat because I don't want it in my memory. All right, so again, anytime you go to start a new chat, if you want to use a plugin, you just hover over, go down, make sure your plugin is highlighted, then you come right here. You tell it which one you want to use. So I'm going to use diagram show me. And here's the prompt that I made. So I'm a middle school cross-country coach. My runners are often in the middle of the pack at competitions, so create a 1-hour practice schedule for my athletes that'll help them increase their speed, their endurance, their form, and their breath control. Include a visual representation of this practice schedule. Be sure to provide specific drills and exercises to be formed, and demonstrate which of the 4 areas we are seeking to improve will be addressed during each portion of the practice. So you click the button. It's doing its thing, it's thinking.
Rodney Stoker.
Yeah.
That'd be funny.
And so, since it's generating, it's taking a little bit longer, our internet's running a little bit slower. At my house last night, which we're on fiber, it was taking 15 seconds maybe. But saying, hey, I did it. I'm working on generating it.
We're close enough, we should be able to get on fiber here.
Yeah, that's how I use it. Okay, so here's your 1-hour cross-country practice schedule. And it's all visualized out. Then they're going to give you the summary of how to break down the practice. They're going to tell you which parts of it's improving form, which part, and then you could even go in more specifically and say you want station setup or whatever. You'd have it generate little directions or summaries at each station so the kids show up and they can read it and know, hey, here's what I need to do at this station. And the cool thing with this one is, say you don't like the way it's laid out, you don't like the colors they use, you can actually click and go to their website and you can manually move things around, change colors. And then it'll say, hey, you can view this in a new tab. So there you can see your 1-hour cross-country meet that's all laid out. That goes from warm-up to speed drills to breath control to endurance and cool down. So
Cool.
Another way of thinking about this, I have 16 kids in my homeroom class. Imagine. I've got 20, but imagine you had 16 kids. These 3 kids can't sit next to each other. These 2 kids can't sit next to each other, and these kids need to be as far away from each other as possible. I have desks in my room in a 4x4 grid. Create a seating chart that meets the specifications above. Bloop.
I wonder if Jerry can use this for scheduling.
Probably.
Yeah. All right.
But this is only, you prompted, what did you prompt, or not prompt, what did you click in? Plug in, yeah, what plugin did you?
This is the show me diagram.
Show me, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's from Missouri.
Yeah, it is indeed. Or diagram show me. Link reader. So, put this one in for Miss Katie Justice on her behalf. So we all love Miss Foster. We all want to be Miss Foster when we grow up.
Yeah.
So,
If we make it to 90.
close out my ChatGPT.
I don't know that one.
So we had a couple years ago, if you remember, News Channel 12 came. They did an article or did a news story on Miss Foster for teaching 65 years, whatever. So I can go to ChatGPT, diagram, and I'm going to go to my link reader. Again, they can analyze pretty much anything with a link to it. And here's what I'm pasting in. I said I'm a parent engagement coordinator for a middle school. One of our teachers just had a news segment made about her. Please provide a summary of the news segment. I just gave a link to this YouTube video. And write 2 social media posts and email that I can use to share the highlights of the story with our students' parents. So it's going to go through, it's going to say, okay, let me analyze what's going on in the video. And so when I've been talking to you, like asking about like, how are you automating like your social media and stuff?
Mm-hmm.
So here's the summary of that news segment. Notice that it actually went in. I didn't tell him the prompt it was about Juanita Foster. I didn't mention how long she'd been serving. It went in and scraped all the information from the video. That information is also not in the description of the video. So it went in and actually analyzed the video itself to pull this information out.
Wow, gosh. Now I need to watch video of this.
And because I asked it to, it's also making the social media that could copy and paste into Facebook or
Put
whatever.
some emojis in there.
Yeah, you can tell it if there are specific emojis you want to use, specific ones you don't want to use, but I found that they're actually, it's pretty intelligent as far as recognizing different contexts for emoji usage. And then there's the email to go out to the parents. So this is something that Katie, it may have taken her half an hour to go in, watch it, type up a summary, create the post, get the email template, just wordsmith just right.
Let me ask you something about using that information. So when I've dabbled around with it and I've attempted to copy and paste, when you drop it into a document, it's usually like the square and the font and everything's grayed out. Is there a way to do
Yes.
that with it?
So all you have to do is go to Format, Clear Formatting.
Okay.
And that gets rid of all the grayed background. Another way, teachers are always like, how do I know if my kids are cheating? Most kids that try to use ChatGPT don't know about clearing the formatting, and so if you see it's got a highlighted background and stuff like that.
You know, they use it.
Well, I mean, even not with ChatGPT, they use just Google and copy and paste, and it's still, the formats, the words are different.
Yeah. And so you can see it even in each of the posts include a, hey, watch the segment here, so it linked to the segment and all those. And you can tell it, be sure that you use the hashtag real RMS or Bulldogs or whatever for each of them.
We've got a screen cap.
Yeah, you've got the screen capture and everything. All right, so
Sweet.
show you a couple more. Okay, AI PDF. So you have a PDF document. So say on my website, you go to my website and you're like, hey, Neely wrote a paper about learning in parking lots. Good. I'm getting ready to go see Fish for 3 days. I had to reference Fish, Grateful Dead, whatever. So you're like, I don't want to read it. It's a really long article that's full of like nerdy words. So, and no pictures. I'm telling you. So what you can do instead is actually take either the link to that or upload the PDF if you have a copy of it. And I just said, hey, analyze the following article and gave a link to that. I want you to do 3 things. I want you to summarize the article in no more than 200 words. Create 3 open-ended questions relating to the article for a teacher professional development workshop. And highlight 5 actionable steps from the article that teachers can implement in their classes and the benefits of each of those actions. So rather than reading this long, super nerdy article, which I would suggest, if you're curious about how people at Fish shows and Grateful Dead shows and stuff learn and construct knowledge in parking lots in informal ways. Oh, you worked for me all night, come on. Sometimes it's like, I don't want to do it.
I don't want to read the article.
I love it.
Let's see here. Close out, try it again. should just screenshot it.
Eventually people aren't gonna know how to speak to others,
Or think on your own.
or
Make
think,
sure.
or critically think.
So try again. Sometimes the plugins can be a little persnickety. Yeah, it's just being persnickety. But last night I ran it through and it did everything that I asked for it to. It was like, hey, here's 200 words about it. Here's some guided questions if you're doing like a book club, and here's some highlights for teachers to carry out of it. So those are some of the major ones that I'm using. So ChatGPT's capabilities have radically changed in the last year. And with the soon coming of vision and voice, it's going to a whole new level. I mean, think about your students who just, maybe they are having a really bad day and they need to talk to somebody. Hey, taking on the personality of such and such. Speak some words of encouragement to this kid. Not necessarily be a counselor because there's all kinds of things, but what's some encouragement you can say? We have a student who just came here from X country. They're really struggling. Can you help translate my instructions to them? Also, with voice, we'll be able to do real-time translation of podcasts, of YouTube videos, of movies, all kinds of neat stuff. With vision, the ability to, I saw a science teacher who had access to it already, was posing as a student, and there was a picture of a cell, and took a picture of a cell with all the pieces, and it said, I don't understand this picture, help me understand it like I was 5. And went down through and explained all the various components of a cell and gave like little metaphors and stuff for him, and that was all just from snapping a picture. So imagine with ag, you've got a plant that is really sick and dying or whatever, rather than you telling the kids, hey, it needs more of this, they can go over, take a picture, and it'll analyze, here's, based off of what I'm seeing, here's what's wrong with the plant, here's what I'm seeing, this, like my visual of the soil conditions. I would suggest you do this, this, and this to help nurse the plant back to health.
What plugin would that be?
So that is going to be Vision, and that's actually not going to be a plugin. That's going to be a native feature once it gets rolled out. It's still in beta mode, but that one's just going to be called ChatGPT Vision. The one where you can actually talk with it is going to be called Voice. So I'm an external processor. Julie knows this about me. Dusty definitely knows this about me. And so being able to actually have a conversation with your phone that's been trained on pretty much everything on the internet to help bounce around ideas, awesome. So I know that was a lot real quick because these are short workshops, but does anybody have any questions for me?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Are there concerns about security and confidentiality?
Yes.
Like if I upload a data spreadsheet, what are the thoughts there about the security of the information?
So therein lies, that's the booger with it. Because once you upload something into ChatGPT, it becomes part of their training data. And so that's why you need to make sure that anything that you put in is de-identified data. That's also another reason why, like, I have buddies who are Red Hat programmers, and they're not allowed to put any kind of proprietary code into it because once it does, it becomes part of the training model. Doesn't mean necessarily that somebody is going to go, find that exact information, but it could, somebody randomly in Timbuktu could be searching for something and some of that data could pop up. So that is one of the caveats of using this system.
So when we're talking about using it for school, especially like for data, we would not want to include student names.
Yeah, de-identify all data. Anything that I do with kids, I give them pseudonyms, or I'll just say student number 1, student number 2, student number 3. Another example of that that's really crazy where some of the people in the tech world are about vision is one of the examples somebody gave, well, 2 of them. One, somebody drew a picture on a sheet of paper and said, write me an app that looks like this. And it wrote it out for him. Then somebody else actually took another website that was someone else's intellectual property and said, make my website look like theirs. And it wrote the custom code for doing so. So there's definitely, as it extends, we do have to be aware of privacy issues, We have to be aware of potential copyright issues. We have to be aware of, any kind of HIPAA, FERPA, whatever, protect everybody's privacy kind of issues that are out there. But if you take a little bit of time and you think about what you're putting into the system, then it can be a tremendous tool. But that actually is one of the number one issues, or one of the number one questions that schools around the world are asking. It's not so much, hey, how can we keep kids from cheating? Kids are going to cheat. When I taught college, I had kids that I couldn't allow them to bring Dorito bags in on test days because they were hiding note cards in their little Dorito bags. Cheaters are going to cheat. The bigger question is, how do we handle sensitive data? And so that's where a lot of school systems are looking at right now as far as writing their AI policy is less about plagiarism and more about protection of privacy.
One thing too, because this will inevitably come up when you're talking with educators about the dangers of plagiarism or cheating. This is why it's important that teachers make authentic and creative learning and assessment experiences in the room under your supervision, where you're not relying on an essay to prove that student's content knowledge or expertise. I mean, you can develop performance tasks or interviews or Socratic seminars or conversations or those kinds of things that where ChatGPT is used to, again, enhance their learning experience, to minimize time, to take all that stuff that we don't need to know how to do anymore because that can do it for us, so that we can make our learning experiences really genuine and authentic and more meaningful. So there are risks, but that's where, as educators, we have to be on top of it to make sure that we've got a fix to the risk.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, and
even with the new ELA standards, that's something a lot more multimodal types of assessment.
Well, and
standards.
if you notice in the last 2 sessions now that I've done this, everything's been about teacher use. I haven't even led a workshop yet on student usage. That'll probably be my one for next year, the student usage of these systems. Because we as teachers, I feel like we need to get our heads around it a little bit before we start turning kids loose with it. All right, any other questions? That was really good. Okay, so two ways I want to show gratitude for you coming to today's session. One, I'm going to send out to y'all, or we'll put on the dashboard, my prompt workflow for having ChatGPT create writing assignments for you, create rubrics for you, and do the automated grading so that all of us can have kids writing in class, so that all of our kids can be getting personalized feedback, so that we can all be helping them grow in writing without us having to spend hours and hours and hours giving them graded feedback. So I'll send that out to you. It's just a PDF that you can literally copy and paste and change wording to make it about your content area and your specific assignment. Paste it in and let it go. The other thing that I have for you is a free digital copy of my book if you want it. So it goes through, it's called Prompt Engineering for Non-Techie Teachers. And I wrote it assuming that somebody who can send a text, check email, but isn't really comfortable with tech much beyond that. So you can go through and it'll walk you through step by step how to start using ChatGPT. And so the links there will also make sure the link is in the dashboard. And then if you go the sign-in sheet over here, if you want to sign in for the sign-in sheet, everybody who physically came today, I like doing giveaways at my workshops. So I'll do a random name poll for somebody to get a physical copy of it off the sign-up sheet.
I do want to add that Stoker just sent me a well-reasoned and thought-out letter requesting a day off and a raise. Unfortunately, he forgot to delete the formatting.
It says I have worked for X amount of years.
So that's where you could also have your custom instructions put in, so it already knows your background.
Okay.
And you're like, I'm writing to my boss, be sure to pull from my custom instructions that are talking about my professional background to use as evidences in the letter.
I don't want to pay a reduction. Come on.
Yeah. All right. Anything else?
That's
All right.
awesome.
Thank y'all.